Ladies and gentlemen, our guest this morning is New York State Senator Dean Skelos. In November 2010, Senator Skelos was elected to his 14th term in the New York State Senate. He now serves as the chamber's majority leader, making him the highest-ranking Republican official in state government. Before assuming the responsibilities of majority leader, he held the position of Senate Republican leader, where he was an outspoken voice for lower taxes, less government spending, and a renewed emphasis on private sector job creation. Senator Skelos was also elected by his colleagues to be majority leader of the Senate in June 2008. Later that year, he sponsored and passed Senate legislation to enact a property tax cap in an effort to give New York State taxpayers relief from high property taxes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to introduce to you New York State Senator Dean G. Skelos.
Thank you very much, and good morning. Thank you. My brother's a judge, and normally everybody stands for him. This is a bit unusual. And Fred, I want to thank you for your kind introduction, and Margaret for your years of service, members of the board, certainly ACIT, all of you who are involved know the good work that it does on Long Island. And I want to wish you the best of luck as you approach your 50th anniversary, I believe, next January. And to Jerry Kremer, I started in politics in Albany in the Assembly when Jerry served as chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and certainly we were from opposite parties, but Jerry was very kind to me, helped break me in during those times as a young Assembly person, and you know, then your paths go a different direction, and then as small as the world really is, we came back together as a partner and associate in Ruskin, Moscow, and Falterchek. So it's great to see you again. Jerry, I have to give one story, and you know, whenever I hear 14 terms, I think about, it's a long time in the Senate. My son turned 30 on July 4th, and one of the gifts that he received was a bound copy of the New York Times on July 4th. And as I opened it up, there was a picture of Jerry Kremer on July 4th on the floor of the Assembly debating health care. And I guess it shows how small and how long we've been debating that issue over the years. But this is a very kind opportunity that I've been invited to join with you and really celebrate what this organization does and what all of you do individually and as different organizations for the people of Long Island. And what's important in business and politics is that you develop strong relationships with each other, whether it's your client, whether it's associates within your organization, and work with each other for the good of all. And that also is true in politics. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. When Jerry was there, they were there, we were there the 4th of July. Fortunately, now we're no longer there the 4th of July. But we have developed a good relationship in Albany, and we've set a different tone working with Governor Cuomo. When Governor Cuomo was first elected as the governor, and I was elected majority leader, now, oddly enough, I've had the distinction, I think, of being majority leader 3 times in the last 4 years, which is really a record. I went to see him before he was sworn in and I was sworn in, and I said, look, we have to change the tone in Albany, and certainly he agreed. Said, right now we are not in competition with each other. We have a struggling economy here in New York State and throughout the country. We don't have to fight with each other. We can work with each other. We certainly will have some policy differences. My goal is to be majority leader, and your goal is to be president. So it doesn't mean we can't work together and accomplish some good things. And you know what? We really have. We've worked with the governor, and certainly we have had policy differences. And you're supposed to have policy differences, different points of view, Republicans, Democrats, with conservative, liberal. But you're supposed to listen to each other and not shout at each other. And what I've always said is if you yell at each other, you don't hear each other. And we've managed to sit down for the last 2 years and listen to each other, have policy disagreements, have policy agreements, reach compromise. But in the end, we were focused on really 3 basic things. And that was we had to cut government spending in New York State, we had to cut taxes, and we had to stay focused on creating jobs, private sector jobs. And I think we've accomplished much of our goals. A lot more to be done, there's no question about it. Things are improving, but not the way we would want it. And we are concerned about that the economy could take another dip. But the most important thing, and a number of you were kind enough to mention it to me today, they're seeing state government functioning again. And Albany was an embarrassment for many years, and now people are saying, you're doing a good job, you're getting it done. May disagree with you on this issue, but it's happening. And that's what's really important. And we passed 2 early budgets. That hasn't happened in I don't know how many years. The last early budget we had was when Mario Cuomo was governor. And we reduced government spending 2 years in a row, which is critically important. And we cut the income tax for the first time in over 50 years in New York State. And I think that was extremely important. The MTA payroll tax, that was enacted when we were in the minority, and I called that a job-killing tax. And it was a job-killing tax for those of us who live in the MTA region. We were able to eliminate that tax for 80% of the small businesses in the MTA region. I think that was a huge success for the business communities who lobbied very heavily on starting to eliminate that tax. We were able to do it with school districts, with libraries, and our goal is to eliminate the payroll tax completely in the next 2 years. We cut the corporate franchise tax, which will help small businesses create jobs. And in 2011, almost 15,000 new private sector jobs were created on Long Island. We enacted pension and Medicaid reforms to provide billions of dollars in mandate relief to local governments and school districts. In fact, Medicaid, we were spending $1 billion a week in New York State, and certainly that was not sustainable as we move forward in the future. So we're continuing to increase Medicaid spending, but not at the 10, 11, 12% rate that would happen without the changes that were done. And the property tax cap was enacted, controversial, but we needed to restore fiscal discipline on all levels of government, and certainly, as I mentioned, New York State, we've spent less, and we continue to live within the property tax cap percent of 2% on the state level, as we're asking all of our local governments to do on the local level. Certainly, this is in stark contrast to what we see happening in Washington right now, where there is a bit of dispute over the extension of a tax relief package that will expire at the end of this year. Put it in perspective as to New Yorkers, if those tax cuts are not renewed, federal taxes on New Yorkers will increase by $11.5 billion a year. When you add in additional Medicare taxes tied to the Federal Affordable Care Act, New York taxpayers will be on the hook for a total of $14 billion in additional federal taxes. I truly believe that these taxes will hurt our economy and undo much of the progress we have made during the past 2 years to create jobs and get our state headed in the right direction. To advance to where we are now, we had to fix a lot of damage that was done prior to us coming back into the majority. There were $14 billion in new spending during a recession, which was totally unaffordable, and there were $14 billion in new taxes and fees, and we saw 220,000 people leave New York State. We saw chaos and dysfunction in Albany, and certainly people had lost the faith of government, and it was at our lowest point for years. Now, when you look at the different polling, for example, the Siena College poll, 55% of New Yorkers say our state is on the right track and that's the largest margin ever in the poll. And certainly when you look at the polling concerning Washington, it's the complete opposite in terms of things moving in the right direction. New Yorkers respect the job we are doing and recognize how far we've come. And again, that is Republican and Democrats, the Assembly, Senate, and the governor. And that's why I believe on Election Day, on the state level, for our legislative races, that we are actually going to expand our majority as we go towards November 6th. We have made our priorities very clear: cut taxes, cut spending, and create jobs, private sector jobs. And we have accomplished a lot, but there still is a lot to do, particularly here on Long Island. The 9 Republican senators representing Nassau and Suffolk County, and in fact our entire delegation is Republican here on Long Island, have worked with business leaders to transform Long Island's economy into a hub of science, research, and cutting-edge technology. Over a decade ago, Long Island Senate delegation secured more than $100 million in investments to build the infrastructure necessary to attract high-tech and biotech businesses and jobs. We have many economic success stories, such as the Morelli Homeland Security Center, which is a great example of how a property that was vacated by a major employer can be marketed and revamped to create a vibrant new facility and new jobs. We also allocated $15 million for the establishment of the Advanced Manufacturing and Material Technology Innovation Center at the Morelli location. LIFT, as the Morelli Center's operational manager, will help New York State and individual companies become world-class suppliers of advanced composite products for this growing world market. I was proud to partner with Senator Hannan and North Shore LIJ Health System to secure the initial $25 million in funding for the new state-of-the-art Hofstra University School of Medicine. A new law sponsored by Senator Fischillo will clear the way for an expansion of the Broad Hollow Bioscience Park at Farmingdale State College. This project will create more than 700 jobs with an annual employment impact of about $50 million. And certainly under Senator LaValle's leadership, for all of our state universities throughout the state, but in particular SUNY Stony Brook, we've been able to invest millions and millions of dollars to see that great, not just employer, but educator, but also research institution flourish. Things of the future that we have to look forward to, we have to have more economic development, and certainly one of my priorities will be the development of Belmont Racetrack. If there is casino gambling, if the people approve the referendum, it's my hope that we can make the Belmont area a hub and a location and an attraction where people will go. And certainly we have to work closely with the governor and ESDC. We see that there is a focus on Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. Talk about a Major League Soccer stadium in Queens. And I think for Long Islanders, it's critically important that we keep the Islanders here on Long Island because it is a vibrant part of our community. Recently, I read in Long Island Business News that, like teamwork, there is no I in technology. That's why we have to work together to support this growth so Long Island can realize its full economic potential. We are creating environments and clusters for businesses to grow on Long Island, and we are making New York better for business throughout the state. But we have to keep working. We have to continue to reduce spending and taxes and do more to encourage the job creators to locate and grow in New York State and certainly here on Long Island. You are an integral part of it, all of you here, the organization as an entity, and I look forward to working with you for years to come to continue to grow the job market on Long Island. Thank you very much.